And I also want to welcome our distinguished Chair of the Federal Reserve, Janet Yellen, and thank her for appearing before us this morning. This committee has a long tradition of receiving regular updates from the Chair of the Federal Reserve, and we're pleased to be continuing that tradition today. The U.S. economy has struggled through a long season of tepid growth. It's been 6 years since our last recession technically ended, and over that time, our economy has grown at a historically slow pace, averaging 2.2% per year. Some have suggested that a 2% growth rate is and will be the new normal for the economy. All of us should view these low economic expectations as unacceptable. The Fed certainly has an important role to play in setting monetary policy, and that is where its focus should be. There will no doubt be discussion of Fed policy and interest rates during today's hearing, as accommodative monetary policy by the Fed has been the norm for some time now. However, we should also be mindful that changing interest rates is not a long-term prescription for achieving a more dynamic economy. Unlocking the full potential of our economy will require policy decisions that incentivize the private sector, including better fiscal management of spending by the federal government, as well as pursuing pro-growth policies such as tax reform, a more balanced regulatory environment, and passage of trade agreements and other policy commitments. Our commitment to successfully addressing these other policy issues, and by our, I mean the United States Congress, not the Federal Reserve, will go a long way toward creating certainty and confidence among both businesses and consumers. If we do not succeed in furthering pro-growth policies, we may face an economic future defined by low expectations and diminished standards of living. At the same time, questions arise regarding the impact of weakening economies in Europe, China, and emerging market countries. This morning, the European Central Bank announced that it's expanding its stimulus measures and taking its overnight deposit rates further into negative territory. China devalued its currency in August in response to financial turmoil, and other major international trading partners face significant economic challenges. The actions taken by these countries will have an impact on the value of the dollar and the U.S. economy. We look forward to hearing the Chairman address that issue also. These are some of the major issues we will discuss, and I certainly look forward to hearing Chair Yellen's thoughts on this. There is global uncertainty also, I think, that we should add to this equation. Too many mornings we tune into breaking news or pick up the newspaper and find headlines that we don't want to read. That appears to be a spreading cancer not only in the United States but also throughout the world. And so the uncertainty that levels and the impact that it has on economic policies is perhaps another issue that we ought to be discussing. This morning, unfortunately, the House of Representatives it has a series of votes coming up shortly, so there may be some in and out of members having to deal with that as we are trying to wrap up our session. I'm going to try to ask our members, I will ask our members to try to keep their remarks to and questions to 5 minutes. If we need a second round, we will try to accommodate that, and also try to accommodate those that have had to run out for votes and will come back. Chair Yellen, most of us sitting, if not all of us sitting up here today, would love to wake up to headlines in the Wall Street Journal, headlines in the New York Times, pictures on the front page of Financial Times, and I have all these things that highlight you this morning as the person of the day. I don't expect that you have that same enthusiasm for waking up every morning, but we're really pleased to have you here and look forward to your testimony.